normally nobody's looking to shank you. When you get into the higher institutions, when people are doing, a ton of time and there's no way you can benefit them, then you got a little more problem.
Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he has to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit.
When Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison, the world reacted instantly: shock, confusion, disbelief. But for Michael Franzese, a former capo in the Colombo crime family who had himself spent years behind bars, the biggest challenge awaiting Diddy was still ahead.
Obviously, he's disappointed, although he really shouldn't be. I think, a 4-year sentence here with already credit for the year or so that he has in, I think he did very well with respect to all of the drama and all of the circumstance around this trial. There was a lot of bad stuff out there, and I'm not saying, I'm not passing judgment on that, but it just looked really bad, and he could have gotten up to 10 years or 11 years. So I think the judge, took everything into consideration. I think his family today made a very good plea for him, and I think he did very well. That's my opinion.
According to him, normally, nobody's trying to harm you in prison. But when you move into higher-level institutions, where inmates are serving extremely long sentences and there's nothing you can offer them, that's when things can get complicated. If Diddy ends up in a camp-style facility, maybe he'll be okay. But given his lifestyle, reputation, and everything he's achieved, if he has to spend years behind those walls, I think he might struggle to handle it. Franzese explained that despite the intense public attention, Diddy's legal team had managed to steer through an extremely volatile situation. From his perspective, the judge carefully weighed all factors: the years of controversy, the overwhelming media coverage, and the emotional testimony delivered by Diddy's family. Ultimately, Diddy received just over 4 years, a sentence many insiders believed could have been far harsher. Obviously, he's disappointed. Franzese remarked, though he shouldn't be. A 4-year sentence with credit for the year or so he's already served is actually a good outcome considering all the chaos and scandals surrounding this trial. There was a lot of bad publicity. I'm not passing judgment on whether it was deserved, but it looked terrible. He could have easily received 10 or 11 years. I think the judge considered everything carefully. His family made a powerful plea on his behalf, and overall, I think he did very well under the circumstances. That's just my opinion. When asked about how inmates typically handle moments like this, hearing their sentence and returning to their cell, Franzese offered a candid explanation. Everyone reacts differently. I'm sure he went back feeling disappointed, maybe replaying everything in his mind. He's probably thinking it could have gone differently. Maybe I should have done things another way. It's normal to feel angry, frustrated, even a little lost. Those emotions hit you at first. There's a process that determines where a convicted person like Diddy will actually serve their sentence. Judges can make recommendations, but the final decision belongs to the Bureau of Prisons. Given Diddy's fame and the immense public scrutiny around his case, it's unlikely he'll be placed in a minimum security camp. Such facilities, often nicknamed Club Fed, are designed for low-risk inmates. They have open grounds, minimal barriers, and a more relaxed routine. But Diddy's celebrity status makes him a potential security risk, so a medium security prison is far more probable. He'll have to prepare himself, Franzese said. He'll likely spend a few weeks in holding before they assign him to a permanent facility. Prison life, believe it or not, can be easier than federal jail. At least in prison, you can move around more, spend time outside, and have a bit more freedom. He'll collect himself and start thinking about how to make the best of it. There are programs to help reduce your sentence, like the Bureau of Prisons drug program. If he's eligible, he could shave as much as 18 months off his time. I'm not sure if he'll qualify, but everyone inside starts thinking the same way. What can I do to get out sooner? How can I improve myself? Diddy's next concern will likely be his placement. He's probably already asked his lawyers to request a facility close to home. somewhere low or medium security, Franzese added. But I don't think he'll make it into a camp. He's too high profile. When asked if personal requests or judicial recommendations really make a difference, Franzese elaborated, "You can ask the judge to recommend a location, but the Bureau of Prisons doesn't have to follow it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The judge's suggestion can help, though it carries a little weight, especially when they're deciding where to send you." Franzese knows this system firsthand. He served time in both camp-style and higher security prisons. He explained that minimum security camps have no fences, just open spaces and a foundation of trust. But mistakes, transfers, or administrative decisions can quickly land an inmate back in a stricter environment. Ultimately, he believes Diddy's experience will depend less on where he's sent and more on how he conducts himself inside. "They once moved me to a camp by accident," Franzese recalled. "There were no fences. They even told us, if you want to leave, you can walk out. But when we catch you, we'll add another 5 years to your sentence." While I was there, at least one person tried to escape every month. But honestly, a medium security prison isn't terrible. It's structured, manageable. When pressed about why Diddy's fame would prevent him from going to a camp, especially since no one would want to harm someone at a low-security facility, Franzese provided insight. "It's because of the money. When I went in, because of my reputation and how the media portrayed me, everyone wanted to pitch business ideas for when I got out. Inmates look at you like a golden ticket. Diddy will have more people trying to befriend him than trying to hurt him. In a medium security setting, no one's looking to attack you. The real danger is in higher security institutions where inmates are serving life and have nothing to lose. But Diddy, he'll probably be fine. He's valuable to others, and that makes him safer." For Diddy, however, the real challenge won't just be about safety. It will be about isolation, the stripped-down lifestyle, the distance from luxury and control. It's an environment that forces brutal self-honesty, something fame rarely allows. Meanwhile, Diddy's defense team has already been working to secure a placement at a safer, more rehabilitative facility. They've reportedly asked Judge Aaron Subramanian to recommend the Federal Correctional Institution, Fort Dix, in southern New Jersey, a large, low-security prison known for its drug treatment programs and proximity to New York. Attorney Tenny Geragos wrote that Fort Dix would allow Diddy to address alleged substance abuse issues while staying closer to family, which could support rehabilitation and visitation. The facility's flagship program, the Residential Drug Abuse Program known as RDAP, lasts between 9 and 12 months and can reduce sentences by up to a year. For someone facing roughly 3 more years, that reduction could make a significant difference. However, not everyone agrees that Fort Dix is the right place for Diddy. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, publicly rejected any sympathy for his former boss. When he saw footage of Diddy collapsing in tears after hearing his sentence, Deal's reaction was anything but compassionate. "My heart goes out and says, forget him and feed him beans," Deal said coldly. "I couldn't care less about his sadness or his pain. I have no remorse for him, none at all. This is someone I once would have given my life for. And to find out he tried to have people take mine just because I wanted him to do right by others, I'll never feel sorry for him. Seeing him like that only proves there's a God." He continued, "When you hurt people and live without conscience, karma will find you." Seeing him on his knees begging, "I'm happier than I've ever been," God showed him he can make you and he can break you. Deal's anger stemmed from deep betrayal. He accused Diddy of trying to harm him, of turning on the very people who protected him. In his eyes, Diddy's downfall was long overdue. On the other hand, for Diddy's legal team, Fort Dix offered practical advantages: family proximity, treatment opportunities, and a relatively safe environment. Yet others in the federal system, like Christopher Zaukis, author of the Federal Prison Handbook, warned that Fort Dix is unpredictable. While it appears calm from the outside, it has struggled with gang issues, contraband, and staff shortages. That unpredictability could prove dangerous for someone like Diddy, especially since many inmates still idolize Tupac Shakur and believe Diddy was connected to the events that led to Tupac's death. For those prisoners, his presence could spark resentment or even violence. According to some insiders, America's prisons are full of people who still adore Tupac. Many of them think Diddy had a hand in what happened to him or to Biggie Smalls. Some even remember the Making the Band days and how Diddy treated contestants. That kind of resentment lingers. Whether Diddy ends up at Fort Dix or somewhere else, one thing remains certain: his fame won't protect him behind bars. It will test him in ways the courtroom never could. As Diddy's defense team pushed for placement at Fort Dix, opinions remained deeply divided. Gene Deal, who once served as Diddy's personal bodyguard and confidant, made it clear that he believed the music mogul got exactly what he deserved. God is good. Deal said, and I have no sympathy. I've never felt sorry for someone who tried to take me away from my family. When he told people to come after me, was he thinking about my kids? Was he worried about my mother? No, he wasn't. So why should I worry about him now? Deal's words grew sharper as he reflected on their past. When he said he didn't care if Tupac had to die, if Biggie had to die, or if Suge Knight went to prison, did he have sympathy then? No. When he told Wolf, I don't need you anymore, or dismissed people who'd been loyal to him for years, did he show compassion? No. When he turned his back on Craig Mack, Black Rob, or anyone who helped build Bad Boy Records, did he care? Never. And when he told men to come after me, there was no mercy in his heart. So now, seeing him broken, begging, crying, I'm happier than a barrel of laughter. God showed him that he can make you and he can break you. Deal's harsh tone reflected a long-standing bitterness. For him, this wasn't just about legal justice, it was divine retribution. He repeated the same phrase multiple times. I don't have an ounce of sympathy. I'm smiling because karma came full circle. Over the years, Fort Dix has housed its share of well-known inmates, but despite its relatively calm reputation, experts warn it's not as peaceful as it seems. The prison's vast size, staff shortages, and occasional gang activity make it unpredictable. Zaukis, a federal prison consultant, explained that on the surface, Fort Dix looks like a low-risk facility, open yards, dorm-style housing, a relaxed environment. But inside, there's still tension, and for someone as high-profile as Diddy, it can be dangerous. There are still inmates who worship Tupac, and many believe Diddy had something to do with his murder. That could make him a target. Some even suggested transferring Diddy out of New York quickly for safety reasons. You've got people in here who think he's responsible for Tupac's death, maybe even Biggie's. One source said, some of them still remember things like the Cheesecake Walk from Making the Band and think he humiliated people. That resentment runs deep. Someone might try something stupid. He needs to be moved before that happens. But others were skeptical, arguing that Diddy's wealth wouldn't protect him from the realities of incarceration. Even if he has money, correctional officers can't afford to give him special treatment, said another insider. If they get caught showing him favoritism, they'll lose their jobs. So, he's going to get the same treatment as everyone else. This fear of retaliation, especially from Tupac and Biggie's loyal fans, looms over his potential placement. Some prisoners, still deeply loyal to those late icons, believe Diddy played a role in both tragedies. They cite old statements from Keefe D., the former Southside Compton Crip, who publicly claimed that Diddy once put out a bounty on Tupac and Suge Knight. Keefe D's own trial, set to begin in February, could reignite those suspicions. His defense team has hinted that they might argue the killing of Tupac was tied directly to Diddy's alleged involvement. Keefe's saying that Puffy ordered the hit. One commentator explained, if that line of defense holds up, It's going to bring Diddy's name right back into the headlines, and not in a good way. Still, many legal analysts doubt that prosecutors could ever prove such a claim. "You can't convict on circumstantial evidence alone," said one expert. "You need physical evidence, something concrete that ties Diddy or Keefe D directly to the murder. Witnesses might testify about what they heard, but that's not enough. Unless there's proof, a recording, documents, or money trail, it's going to be very difficult to make that case stick." Franzese, too, offered perspective on the matter. "Anyone can testify," he said, "but what can they actually prove? Unless someone comes forward with solid proof, not hearsay, not rumors, it's just speculation. The only way it could hold weight is if investigators follow the money." While the debate around Diddy's potential connection to Tupac's death continues, his more immediate concern remains where he'll serve his sentence. Low-security prisons like Fort Dix may appear calm, but they come with their own challenges. The environment is less controlled than higher security institutions, giving inmates more freedom but also placing more responsibility on them to manage their behavior. If an inmate violates that trust, consequences are swift. Privileges like open grounds, visitation, and relaxed movement can be revoked. And for someone like Diddy, one wrong step could mean transfer to a harsher facility. The Bureau of Prisons, not the court, will make that decision. Even though the judge's recommendation can help, it isn't binding. The Department of Justice has already clarified that it won't interfere in determining Diddy's placement. So wherever he ends up, his future will depend on how he adapts to his new reality, a reality where fame, money, and power no longer offer protection. But Diddy's story doesn't end with the sentencing. The transcript also reveals darker, more personal allegations about his private life, claims that paint a disturbing picture of abuse and manipulation. According to several individuals who had interacted with him and his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, the couple's relationship was far from what it seemed. One insider compared their dynamic to that of a fictional drug lord duo, saying, "Diddy was like Nino Brown and Cassie was G-Money. That's how it worked. She played along, even choosing men for their encounters. Sometimes she'd run into one of them randomly, call Diddy, and say, 'I just saw so and so downstairs, let's call him up.' She didn't have to do that." Another person claimed that while Cassie participated in some of these acts, she eventually grew tired and wanted out. She got sick of the way he treated her. They said, "There were messages where she told him, 'You treat me like I'm nothing, I'm someone's child.' That shows she was reaching her limit. The problem, as they pointed out, was fear. You can say she should have left." The source continued, "But when you're in that kind of abusive situation, it's not that simple. People outside don't understand the power dynamics. And for someone like Cassie, who knew too much, Diddy couldn't just let her walk away." Their relationship, long shrouded in secrecy and glamour, now looks more like a cautionary tale of control and trauma. The abuse allegations gained credibility when a shocking video surfaced, reportedly showing Diddy attacking Cassie in a hallway. The footage directly contradicted his earlier denials and became a turning point in the public's perception of him. At his sentencing, Diddy appeared visibly emotional. Inside the Manhattan courtroom, he broke down in tears as a video montage of his life played before the judge and audience. "I want to apologize again to Cassie Ventura for any harm I caused," he said, describing his actions as shameful and sick. "I've been stripped down to nothing. I hate myself for what I did." Yet, many observers saw those words as hollow. "Those apologies aren't genuine," one commentator remarked. "He's only sorry because he got caught. You don't call your behavior sick one day and then repeat it the next." Radio host Charlamagne Tha God echoed that sentiment in a later interview. "Cassie knows too much," he said. "Diddy would never have let her speak freely if she didn't have real dirt on him. She could blow everything wide open, and that's what he fears most." As legal experts continued dissecting the case, most agreed that Diddy's remorse, no matter how emotional it sounded, might not carry much weight. Prosecutors had already accused him of arrogance, claiming that even after expressing regret in court, he scheduled public appearances within a week of his sentencing. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic described his demeanor as the height of arrogance, saying his respect for the law is just for show. Meanwhile, analysts argued that Diddy's defense strategy might have actually hurt him in the long run. Their biggest mistake, they said, was focusing too much on his own narrative and not enough on the victims. One legal commentator explained out of 5 defense lawyers who spoke on his behalf, only one even mentioned the victims, and that lawyer claimed Cassie consented, that she knew what she was doing. It was unbelievably tone-deaf. If you're asking for leniency, you have to acknowledge what you did wrong. Diddy's team completely missed that. The public relations strategy wasn't much better. During sentencing, Diddy's lawyers played an 11-minute video about his life, a glossy, documentary-style montage filled with hugs, charity work, and celebrity appearances. It was meant to humanize him. Instead, it backfired spectacularly. Everyone inside the courtroom said it felt like a campaign ad. One journalist reported, "It landed flat, it made him look out of touch." When the 11-minute video ended, the courtroom fell silent. The montage, filled with glamorous clips of parties, music awards, and family moments, was supposed to remind everyone that Diddy was more than his crimes, a visionary, a cultural icon, a man who rose from the streets to redefine an industry. But instead of inspiring empathy, it sparked irritation and disbelief. To many inside the room, the footage felt more like self-promotion than an apology. "He's still trying to sell himself," one attendee whispered. "Even now, he's performing." Prosecutors immediately pointed out the irony how Diddy, even at his sentencing, couldn't separate his celebrity image from accountability. "It's not about who you were," Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic said coldly. "It's about what you did. This is not a music video. This is a courtroom." Despite the tears, the emotional statements, and the carefully produced presentation, the damage to Diddy's image seemed irreversible. The leaked video of him assaulting Cassie had stripped away the last layer of protection fame had once offered. No amount of money, connections, or influence could undo what the world had now seen with its own eyes. Media outlets across the globe dissected every frame of that hallway footage. Commentators pointed out the fear in Cassie's body language, the aggression in Diddy's movements. For many, that short clip defined everything about him: the control, the entitlement, and the unchecked power that had protected him for decades. And yet, within his circle, some still defended him. A few former associates insisted that he was a broken man, someone finally forced to face the consequences of years of bad decisions. "He's not the same Puff Daddy from the 90s. One friend claimed, "Prison's going to change him. He'll come out humbled, maybe even reborn." But others weren't so optimistic. "People like him don't change," Gene Deal said bluntly. "He's crying now, sure, but when he gets out, if he still has money and power, he'll go right back to being the same person. He doesn't know how to be normal. He doesn't know how to live without control." Deal's bitterness ran deep, built on betrayal and years of silence. "You don't forget someone trying to destroy you," he said. "When I see him cry, I don't see pain, I see karma. He's not sorry. He's sorry he got caught." Diddy's downfall didn't just shake the entertainment industry, it shattered the illusion of untouchable celebrity power. For years, whispers about his private freak-off parties, manipulative behavior, and intimidation tactics had circulated in the music scene. But no one had dared to speak publicly. The lawsuits that surfaced in recent years, including Cassie's explosive civil case, pulled back the curtain for good. Cassie's lawsuit described years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. She claimed Diddy used his influence to trap her, controlling her career, finances, and personal life. The case was settled almost immediately after it was filed, which only intensified speculation that Diddy paid millions to silence her. When the video later surfaced, it confirmed what many had suspected but couldn't prove. It was horrifying. One journalist said, "You could see the terror on her face. There was no mistaking it. This wasn't a rumor anymore, it was real." That footage didn't just destroy Diddy's credibility in court, it obliterated his reputation in the public eye. Brands severed ties, artists distanced themselves, and social media erupted with condemnation. The same music mogul once celebrated as the embodiment of success was now branded as an abuser. Inside the courtroom, Judge Aaron Subramanian made it clear that fame would not shield him from justice. "You lived a life of privilege and excess," he said sternly, "but privilege does not excuse cruelty. Success does not erase accountability." Still, even after sentencing, questions lingered about how Diddy's empire might survive his imprisonment. Bad Boy Entertainment, Sean John, Revolt TV, all pillars of his once global influence were now under intense scrutiny. Many insiders doubted that the companies could survive without his leadership or credibility. "He built everything around himself," one former executive explained. "Diddy was the brand. Once the brand becomes toxic, everything falls apart." In the weeks following his sentencing, employees reportedly began resigning quietly. Sponsors withdrew contracts, collaborators removed his name from projects, even long-time allies in the industry avoided mentioning him publicly. "No one wants to be associated with him right now," said a music insider. "It's career suicide." Meanwhile, the Bureau of Prisons began the process of determining where Diddy would serve his sentence. While his lawyers continued lobbying for Fort Dix, some officials raised security concerns about placing him there. "He's too high profile," one source explained. "You have inmates doing life sentences, people with grudges, people who want attention. Putting Diddy there could make him a target." Another option discussed was the Federal Correctional Institution in Otisville, New York, a medium-security prison known for housing high-profile white-collar criminals and celebrities, but even there, safety wasn't guaranteed. "There's no such thing as a truly safe prison," Franzese remarked. "You've got to earn respect inside, and for someone like him, that means keeping quiet, staying humble, and not acting like he's special. The worst thing you can do in prison is show off." According to Franzese, adjusting to life inside will be Diddy's biggest test yet. "Prison strips you down," he said. "You lose your power, your privacy, your pride. You have to learn to live like everyone else. That's not easy for someone who's lived in luxury his whole life. But if he's smart, he'll adapt. If he's not, he'll make enemies fast." As the public watched Diddy's empire collapse, many reflected on the broader message behind his downfall, how wealth and status can shield wrongdoing for years, but never forever. "This is bigger than Diddy," one cultural commentator said. "It's about accountability. For decades, powerful men in entertainment abused their positions. Me Too exposed Hollywood. Now hip-hop is having its reckoning." For Cassie, that reckoning brought closure and validation. Her courage to speak out inspired others who had stayed silent for years. Several former employees and acquaintances came forward with similar accounts, alleging intimidation, harassment, and emotional abuse. But for Diddy, the reckoning was total. His public apologies, once polished and rehearsed, now rang hollow. In one of his final statements before being taken into custody, he said, "I've made mistakes. I've hurt people. But I'm not a monster. I just lost my way." Those words failed to move anyone in the courtroom. The judge remained firm. His family looked on in tears, and Cassie's silence spoke louder than anything Diddy could have said. When he was finally escorted away, reporters noted how subdued he looked. No sunglasses, no swagger, just a man realizing that his influence had reached its limit. For the first time, Diddy wasn't in control. Experts predict that even after serving his sentence, rebuilding his career will be nearly impossible. The industry forgives a lot. One publicist said, but not this. The video killed any chance of redemption. You can't PR your way out of visual proof. In the end, what once seemed like a story of ambition and innovation turned into a cautionary tale about power and corruption. The same traits that helped Diddy rise: ambition, confidence, control, ultimately became the very forces that destroyed him. Every empire built on fear eventually falls, Franzese observed. In prison, he'll have plenty of time to think about that. No entourage, no applause, just silence and reflection. And that silence, more than any sentence or scandal, might be the hardest punishment of all. As one journalist put it best, for years, Diddy made the world dance to his rhythm. Now, for the first time, he'll have to move to someone else's beat